In terms of cars I'd want to replicate, the Eclipse is up there because if I wanted to do that correctly, we insert the whole Tiger King clip of saying I'll never financially recover from this.
Right.
I'd be more likely to recover from the Eclipse than say the Supra or the R34. Another one that I really like was the FD-RX-7 in the first film. Hilariously, it's mainly because of the wheels that were on that car.
Really?
Yeah, I thought those wheels were insane, and I thought, oh man, they're so bad I almost like it, that I thought if I put it on a car that was a performance car, it would be hilarious.
I grew up in the era where people were driving around on Dayton 140 spoke wheels, and when I see that wheel, it looks like the Japanese Dayton in my head. It looks like it belongs on a lowrider. It does not look like it belongs on a tuner car. And I have great respect for Mr. Yokomako over at Vailsome, but I think he missed the mark on that wheel. Now, if you put Volk on anything, it's going to look good. Volk, Rays, BBS, it's going to look good. I couldn't understand why you would want to spend money on an Eclipse, because candidly speaking, that car was a piece of junk. I mean, the interior, the airbag on top of the dash, they're all warped. Every single one of them. It looks like they weren't even trying when they stuck it in. They just made it out of like a potato chip. So the hotter it gets, the more it moves. It's just garbage. The interior of those cars are just utter garbage. And the cars with that 420A motor, oh my God. It's like they already had the shells and said, we got to get them out of here. Just throw anything in it and put a 420.
Yeah.
It's just shitty car. I have not seen an Eclipse of that era driving on the road anywhere in Southern California in at least a decade. Not one. Think about what cars you see driving 20 years after the fact, right? Where did all the M60 M5s go? Remember when the V10 came out? I haven't seen one in almost 10 years. They're all gone. That would be a terrible car. If you're going to do anything, go buy yourself a Supra, a Mark IV Supra, and do whatever you want to it. You can, if you really have to get a bonus kit, you can get a replica kit for cheap. And Supra, there's one online today for 6-speed automatic trans, 73,000 miles for $59K. That's the cheapest I've seen in a long time.
Oh, is that a left-hand drive car?
No. Yeah, it's a left-hand drive car. Yeah.
Wow, left-hand drive car for that little.
$59,000.
Man, that's pretty different. Yeah, that's pretty different from the early 2000s. Like, if I remember correctly, on a blog post or something, you said that your car, when you got it, I don't think it was new. I think it was used, and obviously because the US didn't have the 2000 model year Supra. What am I saying? It was like less than 30 grand for that car.
$24,000. It was at one of those dealerships, like kind of in the hood a little bit, where we finance anybody, pay weekly, right? One of those kind of deals.
Okay.
And they had a bunch of cars that I wouldn't want even parked in front of my house, let alone for me to be driving one. But they had this white Supra sitting up on those ramps that they put in some car dealers, sitting up there. And I said, oh, Mark IV, there you go. So I went and checked it out, gave it a test drive, looked underneath it for any leaks. I said, I'll take it. And I paid the guy and I left. Got my car and I left. And that was it. $24,000 for a twin turbo 6-speed car. It was a good shape.
Man, I feel like if you want to pay that kind of money for a Supra, it's going to be one of the NA automatic cars.
And right-hand drive.
Yeah, that too.
I don't know why people don't want right-hand drive Supras in this country. I just can't figure it out. But they're far, far less than the left-hand drive cars. But it is what it is.
I'm looking forward to when we start getting into I don't think, because the last model year for the Supra in the US was 98.
Right, 1,221 sold that year.
And I'm looking forward to when we start getting into the model years that we didn't get to have. Because there were a few trinkets on the last few model years of the Supra that I think would be interesting to see in the US if you're keeping the car fairly stock. Like, because they went all the way up to 2002, I believe, in Japan.
Yeah, but then you're going to have to get a right-hand drive car.
Right. Which isn't, for anyone that's driven a right-hand drive car, that's not a setback, so.
Well, some people are just like, there's no way I can't drive a right-hand drive car. And it's like, okay, whatever, but, most people who could drive can get in anything and drive. You can get in a forklift and drive instantly. Okay, this one goes up, this one goes down. All right, let's go. That's it. That's all you need to know. right?
Yeah, I've only observed this kind of in the U.S. where there's a bit of a fear against the steering wheel being on the opposite side. Because when I was in the U.K., I was in Singapore and the Netherlands, there wasn't as big of a fear of left-hand drives or whatever was the opposite in that country. And the first observation I made was it's not that different from a right-hand drive car. You know, the shift pattern is still the same. It's not like it's inverted.
Right.
The controls for the wipers and the indicators are for the most part the same. So you don't have to do that many calculations in your head. And unless if you're in a country where the wheel is on the wrong side, you don't even have to think about curbs or lanes or walls. I know you said with the Skyline you said the high cast turning, which is I think that's what you call the mechanism where the wheels in the back kind of turn a little bit.
Yeah, at low speeds they turn the opposite way you're going to go, right?
Unless if you're dealing with something like that, yeah, you kind of have to think about that, but it's not something you can't get used to because at the end of the day, it's all kind of like playing an instrument. You just learn it through muscle memory and you get used to it.
Exactly. Muscle memory, that's the thing. Anyway, if you spent 35 years driving in this country like I have, you know, you have pretty good muscle memory for certain things. But, and then if you've never driven in a right-hand drive car, you know, it's going to take you 20 minutes. Like I said, it took me 20 minutes to adapt. Not a big deal. But, you know, values are going to go up for cars that were precious, you know. It's matter of fact. I mean, there's certain cars where it will take a very long time for cars to go up in value. Like a base, your garden variety Dodge Challenger, for example. They've made so many of those things now that 50 years from now, they're not going to be, you know, $150,000. Now, a Hellcat would, but a base Dodge Challenger with a V6 engine, yeah, no. Probably not. Right. Not unless they've, you know, globally banned all internal combustion engines and you found this one in a barn. But yeah.
Right.
But the Supras will always be valuable. You know, 50 years from now, we'll still see people who have a few holdout Supras, whether the left-hand drive or right-hand drive, and have been restored and are fetching, you know, well into the six figures. You know, the historical cars will always survive. The problem is that every fuckboy in America who's had a Supra that ruined it, you know, the next person who gets that car has got to undo all that nonsense that people have done to the cars, and especially wiring stuff. The replica Supra that a friend shipped me from a foreign country that I had down here for a couple of months, who shall remain nameless, that car is a salvage title. It crabs down the street. It's sideways. It's not, and it's a hot mess. It looks like it was fixed by three villagers in the center of Mexico in the middle of the night by candlelight. The craftsmanship is horrific, bad. And now he's having to go through and redo the car. I had it down here at our shop here for 3 months, and we started pulling that thing apart and realized that car really, you need to take the good parts off and start with a new shell. And as time goes on, you're going to find more of those cars for sale in the aftermarket, you know, and the used car lots and so forth, or private sellers. Those cars are not going to be good. So the good ones will always fetch good money.
Well, unless if there's anything else you would like to discuss, I don't have any other questions or things I can think of.
Just to recap, I know you talked about it before. I just want to make sure people know that both you and I have produced a series of videos about Fast and Furious cars and behind-the-scenes stories. And your approach is different than mine, which I really like, because, you know, you're showing the parts on the screen so people can really visualize that. And I'm really focusing on the behind-the-scenes stories and the thought process that went into it. So if people aren't watching your videos or my videos, they should scroll back and go to the topic they're looking for and really go through it, because it's going to answer so many questions about these cars and the making of the movies. So if they haven't done that, I hope they will.
It's still my most popular set of videos by a lot. The whole reason why I haven't made any in a while is because, for one, I've been busy, as you know. I've had, and the world's rotating in the wrong direction and all sorts of weird stuff. And you and Sean are also making your own videos occasionally. And even though I know that you're fine with me making videos on similar topics to you, I try to do things that are still kind of unique and in my own lane. And so I took some time to kind of think about how I would continue to do those videos while still doing something that isn't mimicking what you're doing, so that people can watch my videos and watch yours kind of back to back. and still feel like they've gained something. And so that's the main reason why I wanted to try this format, because for one, it takes out me having to write a script and accidentally making any mistakes or accidentally writing a 2 instead of a 3 when I'm talking about how much a Honda S2000 weighs, for instance. That's a famous mistake I made. And just not having any loss in translation and just being able to keep everything in. And I think conversations are different than just reading a script. So I'm looking forward to releasing this because I think this will be both a new change of pace and also bringing back something that I do like doing a lot, which is covering topics. Because right now with everything going on, there's a lot of video game videos on my channel, and I just went to film someone's car collection. So I'm starting to get back into more of that kind of real life stuff, because that's the original reason why I made the channel, was to just document my journey and other people's stuff, because the main reason why I think the car community is so cool is because of the people in it. Yeah. Sure, the cars are cool, but it's a fantastic way to meet people, because you suddenly have a lot of stuff in common and a lot of stuff to talk about.
So every Saturday morning I go over to Cars and Coffee down here in South Orange County, and this weekend had 1,000 cars. 1,000 cars, and I'm talking about tuners, domestic, old and new, hot rods, street rods, bugs, buses, VW buses, supercars, GTRs, you name it, it was there. Whatever it was. It was only the second one since the quarantine was lifted. I do a live stream from there on my Instagram every Saturday morning. I won't do it this weekend because I'll actually be with Sean at Rent JDM in Las Vegas. I'm filming a commercial for them. Yep, so I'm trying to produce new content as well. I'm working on Hans RX-7 video right now, and I should have that done this week. And then after that, I think I'm going to do the Escort Cosworth, because I have a bunch of pictures and information on that car. And we'll just keep going down the line. I'll get through all the cars at some point. It's getting harder to get information because Universal is basically telling Dennis, stop doing videos, because he hasn't done videos in a few years. They've done generic interview with him in a couple of years, I think in the last year or so, just talking about the motion car business in general, but not talking about cars specifically. So it's getting harder to get the information. We have to get it now from people who have owned the cars and the backup cars and all that kind of stuff. So I'm in the same boat.
At least, I feel like the main consolation, I don't know if you've heard about this as a kind of a recent event thing to briefly talk about, is the franchise owners for Gone in 60 Seconds. Have you heard about this?
Oh, yeah. I was on with Matt Farrer. We did a live together the other night on YouTube. To be clear about that, there's somebody who owns the Eleanor name. So if you're producing something that has the Eleanor name, you're going to get sued, and you have no rights to the property. This went on with Batmobiles years ago. If you look up the Batmobile licensing nonsense that went on years ago, you'll see a whole other story about that. And I think that's not the only car. There was another car. I can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, it's not a precedent. It's happened before. So I guess the car went away, and that was the end of that.
Yeah, it's copyright is a tricky thing to navigate. I think you have to really familiarize yourself with what you're getting into. I feel like the one that I always struggle with is music. You have to find stuff that's either royalty free or you can find an affordable license for it. And usually licenses for anything owned by a big franchise or like music label can be pretty pricey.
Yeah, I just don't use views. I got so many videos slammed for using excerpts of like the Tokyo Drift theme. I just don't use any Universal music anymore. As a matter of fact, I don't even show full long clips of video footage because the video will get tagged for that. So what I do is I shrink it and I put it inside of a little TV thing that I put up. You've seen my videos. So I do a fake TV sitting there and put some video. And I only do a few seconds at a time, 4 or 5 seconds at a time. And that's why I don't show the whole thing. Unfortunately, that means if I don't have enough footage to put in the background as the main theme of the video, that means that I have to appear on camera, and I hate being on camera. So then there's that. So it's either that or do black space or just show a long, an image, a still image on screen for, 45 seconds, which I think for me is not exciting because I have a bigger story to tell. If I'm showing a part, that's a different story. I would definitely want to put it on the screen for a while. But this is what YouTube content creators struggle with. Plus, advertising revenues were down the last 2 months. The last 2 months have been horrific.
Yeah, like basically 33% of the norm.
Yeah. Yep. I'm down at more than half. For not last month, but the month before, that was more than half gone because nobody's advertising. All these companies cut down, so it's starting to come back now.
Yeah, mine has started to go back up, and it's not even really as a direct result of anything I've uploaded. I haven't uploaded anything extraordinary.
Right. It just views are coming, or advertising views are coming back because more advertising is available.
Yep. Well, yeah. Oop. Oop.
That was weird. Sorry, I hit the wrong button.
You're good.
I'm sorry.
So yeah. Well, just to finish off. Hopefully take a trip down to LA. It's been years since I've been in California, but I'm jealous because you get to have cars and coffee over here. We don't have cars and coffee yet. So the only time I film cars outside is when I'm in someone's garage.
Yeah.
But one of the things I think would be really cool to do, this would take some arranging because this would require me flying or driving or whatever, but I think it would be neat to visit the filming locations in person with some of my notes and some of your notes, and over the course, because you can't do that in a single day, but
you can do Toretto's Market and you could do Toretto's house. They're just a few blocks away from each other.
Yeah,
you could do that, but then getting out to Malibu is at least an hour and 15-minute drive on a good day from LA, not even from my house. And then you can't get into the Race Wars base where that was. So, and you're not going to want to drive all the way out to the desert to see the water tank where they stash the cars. Because that's a 2-hour drive just to get there. And then Racer's Edge is just a blank white building.
Yeah, I know where that is.
Sitting on the side of the street. There's nothing spectacular about that. It's the Toretto house, Neptune's Net, and the Toretto's Market.
The other spot, and it actually, in Google Maps, when you go to the coordinates of the railroad tracks, it just says the Fast and the Furious right at the railroad tracks. I thought that was weird because I made a video talking about all the filming locations and things like that, and I remember going to that location to verify so I could label like each specific point of the road where specific things happened. And when I got to the tracks, it just said the Fast and the Furious, and I thought that was hilarious.
What's ironic is that one of the cross streets right there is Tuna Street.
Yeah.
Tuna Street. I was like, what?
Oh, that's a heck of a coincidence, or maybe it was weirdly planned. I don't know, but that would be another spot I'd want to visit. I know that spot is probably heavily patrolled or monitored or whatever.
No, it's not. It's the docks down there. That's a side road. It's an adjoiner road. It's not heavily traveled on a Sunday. During the week it is, and at nighttime it is by trucks loading stuff from the port. So the quarantine would have been the best time to do this, and the quarantine's starting to peter out. So you just got to do it on the right day. But the good news is it's sunny 320 days a year in this country, in this state, so in this area. So
well, hopefully I can come out there and we can actually do something more in person. Oh, is that the Audi?
Yeah.
You don't have to show your license plate. I'd rather you, because hilariously, is the color on the GTR a wrap or a paint?
Yeah, it's a wrap.
Hilariously, I keep finding new things to talk about. I'm sorry, but I suddenly have a new fondness for the RS3.
Yes.
Because of the engine in it.
Yes.
And I found out about that car 3 days ago, and I'm sitting here reading about it and watching YouTube videos of people who have straight piped it or whatever, and I'm thinking, how do I not know about this car?
It's just one of those cars. Audi doesn't get the braggarts driving their cars, and the Audi audience seems to be more subdued.
Well, anyways, I appreciate the time you spent talking to me. This has been really cool. Hopefully this format is received well. I'm sure it will be. This is a type of video that everyone has been asking me, when are you going to do this again? When are you going to do this again? I'm like, I'm working on it. So hopefully we can do something similar again at some point in the future, either over this or in person or whatever. Yeah.
Let me know. It's good talking to you too.
Take it easy, stay safe, and see you next time.
We'll see you next time.
All right, and now I'm going to look at you guys. Thank you all so much for watching today's video. I'm going to put this under Car Topics Explained, even though it's a very different formula. Let me know what you guys thought. I'm going to be putting the full uncut version of this whole interview into the members only section of the channel. You'll be able to see it at the bottom of the home page. But yeah, this was a lot of fun, and hopefully we can do something again soon, either with Craig or someone else. Yeah, thank you all so much for watching. You guys are awesome. This was awesome. I'm Tom, the Racing Joker. I really need to standardize my outros. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.